Time for some positivity. I'm John Recton with my 30 favorite matches of 2021 with some honorable mentions. This is going to be part 1 because it's going to be impossible to take the analysis of 30 matches plus honorable mentions, human centipede them together, and present them all to you properly. So that's why I'm just going to split it because it's more fun to flesh things out. You know, like taking the ribcage and just spreading it out and everything like a torture chamber. And boy, that got really goddamn weird. Let me know your favorites, whether they took place on the first of the year or whether they took place on the last day of the year. Yes, I am recording this a few weeks before the end of 2021. Winter is coming up in a week, and I'm sure while Hangman versus Bryan Danielson will be quite good, I just figure it was a good time to talk about some of the best moments, some of the best matches in wrestling across all platforms, because there's going to be quite a bit of representation of various companies. But anyway, so the honorable mentions. Shingo versus Hiroshi Goto, New Japan Cup Night 7, hard-hitting, great, and Goto continuing to prove that he is vastly underappreciated by a lot of fans. And Okada versus Ospreay, Wrestle Kingdom 15, Night 1. The only reason that is not in the top 30, it's nothing against personal feelings, you know, as far as Ospreay and whatever. It has mainly to do with the fact I thought the match was very good, but went a little bit long. So just because of that, I got to put in the honorable mentions, but it is quite good. It was definitely Wrestle Kingdom worthy. And the Women's Rumble the Royal Rumble, it would have been a bit weird if they had that at Survivor Series. They did have a women's match at Survivor Series, and boy, was that weird. And Priest versus Drew versus Sheamus in a 3-way match, oh my, for the U.S. Championship from the August 30th, 2021 Raw. Yes, the same Raw where Nia Jax versus Charlotte Flair took place, and they got all out of control and beating each other up and down. Bully. Anyway, so Sheamus versus Drew from Raw at the beginning of March 2021. In fact, they had a series of really good matches. So now with that out of the way, let's get to the list proper. So number 30, Zack Sabre Jr. versus Will Ospreay, New Japan Cup Night 8. My fucking goodness, Zack Sabre Jr., one of the best wrestlers this year. He's been one of the best wrestlers, in all honesty, for the last number of years. But he really just had some great goddamn showings in the G1. More on that later in this list. And him and Ospreay, great goddamn match, as you would expect with these guys. Now, Ospreay would obviously end up winning the New Japan Cup, and then would end up, you know, laying out his girlfriend at the time, Bea Priestley. I think they're still together. Maybe they're not. I don't really fucking care. But as you would expect with conflicting styles, even though Ospreay had a more ground game to, you know, his, game, Zack Sabre Jr. is just fucking great, bending them into a pretzel, twisting them around and everything, and just really, really good stuff, and just a tremendous match of clashing styles. Really good. Definitely check it out. Number 29, Hiromu Takahashi versus Sho, New Beginning in Hiroshima Night 1. I mean, it's Hiromu, it's Sho. Sho was really trying to prove that he could show up. Okay, that's right. Oh, yeah, I can't hear any of your applause or your tremendous groans, and you're like, God damn, this is terrible. Everything I do causes a groan, for good, bad, or indifferent. Usually bad and indifferent. Moving on from that. Hiromu, who had come back from, a pectoral injury a number of months before, was doing some great work, as you would expect, because he's just that goddamn reckless and insane. And Sho, getting out of, at the time, Roppongi 3K, now, as we know, a number of months later, he would decide to say, hey, yeah, fuck off. I'm going to go be on my own, and now you're going to make it on your own. You're going to show off after all. And the House of Torture. Oh boy, Evil's group. Well, I guess they wanted to cut his legs off right at the beginning, but enough about that. This was a tremendous match, as you would expect, with two great talents going all crazy. Sho showing off his power. Hiromu just being reckless as hell, just laying the shit into each other. Really, really great junior heavyweight match. Now we move on, to number 28. Layla Hirsch versus Camille, NWA Women's Championship from NWA Empower. Okay, I can already hear people in the comments getting all upset that I put this over some of the matches that I had in the honorable mentions. I will explain why. Is Camille the best women's wrestler in the world? No. Is she even in the top 10? No. May not even be in the top 20. I want to explain that this is actually not a slight against Camille, but considering that she is having to basically be a powerhouse, the brick house, she's mighty, and fisting it all out. Oh my. She has definitely done good as NWA Women's Champion. Had a host of good matches on NWA Power, and had a good match against Serena Deeb, I believe, on When Our Shadows Fall. And this match with Layla Hirsch, to me, was just a little bit better. Layla Hirsch really fucking arrived and is really, really good. I mean, considering she's only been wrestling for a few years, this was a standout match on the show. Now, I'm not saying it was the only standout match, but this is the one that stuck with me the most. I watched, some of the replay, before doing this, and it still, I know, still holds up. Kind of funny to say that considering this match is only 3 months old. But I was like, okay, was it just me, being in a good mood and enjoying the match? No, it actually was really good with Layla Hirsch being a powerhouse herself, but being smaller, Camille using her size, and the psychology, and, just the fact that both these women, as far as experience, not the highest, they put together a really good match that was very, very enjoyable, and I had to shout it out here. So we go to number 27, Io Shirai versus Toni Storm, NXT Women's Championship, from the March 10th, 2021 episode of NXT TV. Hey, remember when they let Toni Storm fucking wrestle? Boy, those are good times. Instead of, Charlotte Flair cream pieing her for no goddamn reason. Okay, moving on from that. Io Shirai and Toni Storm had a great goddamn match here. This is when Io Shirai's championship reign was starting to get a little bit stale. By a little bit, I mean a lot. Nothing against Io, but you can only do long title reigns if you make it interesting. And at times they made it interesting. And then other times it was like, okay, now it just got to almost Asuka levels of, holy shit, can somebody beat her? But, that being it, we did get Raquel Gonzalez as NXT Women's Champion after that, though, so maybe we should have been, by we, I mean me, a little bit kinder about Io Shirai's reign. Io Shirai, by the way, fucking tremendous and always great in the ring. But her and Toni Storm, great goddamn match. I mean, really, really, this was back when it was the black and gold brand and not 2.0, where they threw all the kaleidoscopic throw-up at the goddamn screen and decided to get people really stupid names. Toni Storm and Io Shirai cut a really good pace here. You would have thought there were a few times where Toni's actually going to win, but alas, she did not. Io Shirai got the victory. Bit disappointing, but this was a very, very good match. And showcasing how the NXT Women's Division really does, it's just a great standout. And then we go to number 26, Zack Sabre Jr. versus Tetsuya Naito G1 Climax 31 Night 1, where Naito was taken out of the goddamn tournament. Naito, get the fuck out of here. Good. Naito to your chances. Aha. Come on, guys. Laugh. Please. Please laugh. Ha ha ha. No. Naito actually did have a knee injury and had to be taken out and everything, and that was a bit weird. It kind of made, it made A Blocker uneven. Shout out to Bobby for that. Thank you very much. I can't unhear it as A Blocker and B Blocker anymore, no matter how hard I try. But they, as you would expect from a Zack Sabre Jr. match, he was just great with submissions, working on the knee. Naito trying to come back, but eventually did have to just give up because his knee was just shot. His knee was absolutely wrenched and destroyed. And Zack Sabre Jr. just zeroed in on that like a shark, smelling blood. And it was really, really good. Then when you found out that Naito was actually really injured, you're like, oh shit, maybe he wasn't actually selling. But Zack Sabre Jr. was just doing it in a working way. But it was really good stuff. And it did start a little bit of the rise for Zack Sabre Jr. during the G1, where he said, how many ever down, how many ever to go, as you were. Zack Sabre Jr. deserves a goddamn singles championship run in 2022. Number 25, MSK versus Legato del Phantasma. Wild and Mendoza versus the Grizzled Young Veterans. Gibson and Drake, they're soon to be rectimized. I think that's how that goes for the NXT Tag Team Championships at TakeOver Stand and Deliver Night 1. Or just NXT Stand and Deliver. I think it was TakeOver Stand and Deliver. It's weird they had a TakeOver on free TV. Well, actually, they had the first night on the USA Network, and then they had the other one on the cock. But you would expect me to basically knock this for being just a bunch of no-selling and whatever. There was actually some psychology here. MSK, whether they're the Rascals or MSK or whatever, are a really goddamn good team. And despite the failed attempts at trying to make them comedic because they're stoners and now Riddle is a shaman and nobody wants to see that, this was actually a tremendous fucking match. Great pace with MSK, being the tag team champions. And I don't know why MSK kept getting booed. Oh, I remember why MSK kept getting booed. Because Izzy's parents didn't like that they justifiably called out their daughter, taking bumps at her young age. And also, oh yeah, training with a convicted pedophile. So yeah, the dad, the mother, and everybody that's a goddamn relative of Izzy that decided to participate in Britney Spearsing their goddamn daughter, and you know what I mean, trying to live off her success and everything and push her before she's ready. Maybe when she doesn't want to do this, let's do that. And let's boo MSK for justifiably calling out that shit. Anyway, the match was fucking tremendous. And pace was great, and MSK gained the victory, and it was really, really good stuff. Like, really, really fucking good. Were there a few moments where they didn't sell anything? Sure. But it wasn't wild and crazy guys. It was really, really good. And tremendous, as far as like the action, and proved that, hey, the NXT tag division actually can be something, not just comedy fodder bullshit like in NXT 2.0. We didn't know how good we had it with the black and gold brand. Number 24, Okada versus Cobb, Wrestle Grand Slam at MetLife Stadium in Japan, by the way. Night 1. I had to say MetLife Stadium in Japan because there is a MetLife Stadium here. At least I think so. But Okada and Jeff Cobb had a great feud. They had a great feud doing some really, really tremendous stuff. Wrestling like, wrestling like their lives depended on it. Okada made it look easy. Jeff Cobb is another guy. There's a reason why he was so high on my favorite wrestlers of the year list. Check out those lists if you haven't already. This is one of the big reasons, because he went step for step with Okada. Not that Okada can't make somebody look better than they are, but Jeff Cobb proved, hey, he is a force to be reckoned with. I think that's how that saying goes. I could be a little bit wrong. Maybe I said force wrong. That's it. So, moving back to this match, this was great. And Cobb showing that he was going to be somebody to watch out for in the G1, and actually end up having a run of 8 straight matches, and then lost to Okada in the finals, as you would expect with the point differential. But man, Jeff Cobb just was fucking tremendous here. And Jeff Cobb made any tag matches with the Great Okan tolerable, which is pretty damn hard to do. So credit to Jeff Cobb. But he had a great run here and a great match with Okada at Wrestle Grand Slam in MetLife in Japan. Number 23, Shingo Takagi versus Hiroshi Tanahashi, Never Openweight Championship, New Beginning in Nagoya. Okay, so originally I thought this match went a bit too long. I still kind of think that, but it was really good. And Tanahashi being Shingo certainly surprised me. I did not expect Tanahashi to win the Never Openweight Championship. I certainly didn't expect him to retain it for too long. And I certainly didn't want him to lose it to Jay White, but then he did, and then we forgot about the Never Openweight Championship until Tomohiro Ishii won it back at the New Beginning, or the New Japan of America Battle in the Valley show in San Jose. Do you know the way to San Jose? But before that, Shingo Takagi lost to Hiroshi Tanahashi in an over 30-minute classic where Tanahashi turned back the clock as well as he could. His knees are shot, his body's shot, but he did everything he could to try and be the ace of old instead of the old ace. And Shingo would go on to do bigger and better things. The current IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. Thanks, Coda, for Human Centipede, the Intercontinental and the World Heavyweight Championships together. Good job. Hopefully Coda recovers. I think he's going to be back in time for the Dome shows, because they really don't have enough star power, and they're doing 3 nights of Wrestle Kingdom, including Noah versus New Japan at the January 8th show, which ought to be interesting. But Shingo versus Tanahashi was fucking tremendous. Great stuff. And, considering Shingo's like, 37, 38, so he ain't a lot younger than Tanahashi, but he was just like, beating down the ace and stuff like that. But then Tanahashi came back, got the victory, and it was a shocking moment, but it was a good kind of shocking. Number 22, Walter versus Ciampa, NXT UK Championship Takeover Stand Deliver Night 1. Boy, this was something. Ciampa was like, I'm not scared of Walter. You should be. And Walter would end up finishing him off by brutalizing and fisting and chopping him and just beating him up. But it was really, really good stuff. And why was it good stuff? Because my fucking goodness, Walter, anytime you get to see Walter, it's a good day. And him and Ciampa put together a very good match where Ciampa kept focusing on the hand, trying to take him down. But eventually Ciampa would fall to the chop. And that would pretty much be it. But this is a match that still stands out. It was great stuff. Got to watch this, a replay of this on the cock. But it was very, very good. And it was a standout match on a 2-night takeover that, quite frankly, should have just been 1 night because there were some matches that weren't all that good. This, however, was one of the high points. Number 21, Edge versus Seth Rollins at SummerSlam. Okay, I could have put their Hell in a Cell match here. I could have, but I like the SummerSlam match more. Why? Because the Hell in a Cell match was too goddamn busy with a whole bunch of weapons and a whole bunch of bullshit and went on for about 25 years. This, while it went long, the pace was good, and it was a question of could, Rollins beat one of the Mr. SummerSlams, because Edge has done pretty well. Actually, now that I think about it, I think Bret Hart's more, Mr. SummerSlam. Edge has had good moments at SummerSlam and also got cast into the fiery pits of hell at the 2008 event by The Undertaker and was not seen again for 3 months. So yeah, I guess being sent to hell means you're only out for 90 days. Edge versus Rollins, so Rollins is like, I'm gonna beat you down, I'm gonna do what I should have done a number of years ago. I'm gonna take out your neck, you can't do it anymore, and well, Edge did. Edge and Rollins managed to do a really, really good, well-paced match that would transition into a match on SmackDown that would lead to the Hell in a Cell match at Crown Jewel. This was the best one in my personal opinion. Nothing against the other two, but this is the best, and I would encourage you guys to go check this out. Very, very good. Edge proving he can still go, though he's only got a few matches left. I don't think past 2023. I think Mania 39 in 2023 is going to be his last match, and it should be. So anyway, number 20, Rhea versus Charlotte from Money in the Bank 2021. Okay, the first pay-per-view with fans since WrestleMania 37, but basically the first pay-per-view with fans since Elimination Chamber 2020. So these women had a lot to live up to. Now, the build was fucking terrible. Absolutely fucking terrible. Who was injured? Who wasn't injured? And all this bullshit. And all this stuff. In fact, I might be misremembering some of this stuff because this feud kept going on. But, in fact, that might actually happen after this. But the whole point is, Rhea versus Charlotte was not exactly the most well-built match. But they fucking delivered here. Now, I've made no secret that I do not care for Charlotte. I find Charlotte incredibly boring, and I find it incredibly infuriating that she continues to get opportunities after opportunities after fucking opportunities. But that being said, Charlotte is really good, and her and Rhea, I would argue this was just as good, if not better, than their WrestleMania 36 match, because even though they treated it like a struggle there, they had a crowd to react. And there's a crowd to react to. And they got, some really, really good reactions here. And there's good psychology. Rhea being, a powerhouse in her own right, but getting her knee eventually, rocked to the point where Charlotte would get the victory. And okay, yeah, sure, it was disappointing. It was very disappointing. This is one of the rare times where I'm not going to take away from the match, and this was really fucking terrific. And I rewatched this and actually loved it just as much. This was very, very good. Now we move on to number 19, Dangerous Tackers, Zack Sabre Jr. and Tai Chi against Guerrillas of Destiny tag team for the IWGP Tag Team Championships at Wrestle Kingdom 15 Night 1. Holy shit, could we actually see Guerrillas of Destiny break the goddamn curse? Could they do this stuff? Could they do this? Could Dangerous Tackers do what they're supposed to do and be, the unlikely tag team they could win? Well, no, Guerrillas of Destiny would end up doing some really good stuff with the Tag Team Championships and then would end up losing them back to Dangerous Tackers a number of months later. But this was terrific tag team action. This is one of the high points where New Japan proved they can do some great tag team wrestling if they actually let the people go out there and fucking wrestle. And they did. And it was really, really fucking good. Fucking amazing. Well wrestled. Great shit. Tai Chi and Zack Sabre Jr. are a great tag team. Guerrillas of Destiny, one of my favorite tag teams of the last, 5 some odd years, because they haven't been together all that long. They're just fucking great, and you will never get a bad match with these guys unless you try to do a ladder match like Tai Chi and Tama Tonga did at, Dontaku Night 1. But that didn't involve the teammates. Anyway, we move on to number 18, Dangerous Tackers versus Naito and Sonata tag titles, Summer Struggle in Sapporo. They traded the tag titles back and forth, and yes, there was one point where they put another team in there, because why the fuck wouldn't you? I think it was Goto and Yoshihashi, if I recall correctly. Some of these matches kind of blend together. I do apologize. But this was fucking tremendous. Like, holy shit, could Naito and Sonata get the victory? What could they actually do? Naito and Sonata didn't have the tag titles all that long, because then it would be revealed, a couple months later. Like, okay, probably smart they didn't keep the tag titles on them because Naito needed knee surgery. And apparently he's going to be back in time for the Dome. Apparently, rumors. Knock on wood, which I don't have any wood. I don't have any wood near me except my own wood, and I'm not going to knock that because, ouch. This was a great goddamn match, though. Went a bit long, went about 32 minutes, and you could argue that's a little bit long, but still, these two just cut such a great goddamn pace. And Naito and Zack Sabre Jr. just having this great rivalry. Tai Chi, when Tai Chi's motivated, he's fucking dangerous. And when Sonata's motivated, hey, look, he can actually do shit and not just phone it in. So now move on to number 17, the Lucha Bros versus the Young Bucks from AEW All Out for the AEW Tag Team Championships inside a steel cage. I killed the tack boot spot, and I still think it's stupid, but rewatching and reflecting on this was really goddamn good. Did they do every move in existence? Yes, they did. Did Phoenix decide to basically just fly off the top and basically say, I'm just gonna, end my own goddamn life in this, for the honor of wrestling? Yeah, he pretty much did. But you know what was really good? This match. It was very, very good. I don't understand why some people thought that it wasn't very good, because even somebody who's not a fan of the Young Bucks, I've never been a fan of the Young Bucks, I never ever will be, this was fucking great. And the Lucha Bros finally winning. It was a great goddamn moment. And they're the tag team champions. Unfortunately, now it seems like them being the tag team champions, I totally forgot they were the tag team champions on a recent Dynamite, where it's like, oh yeah, because Phoenix is always hurt, or travel issues, or whatever. The win was a big goddamn moment, though. And it was long overdue. You could argue the Lucha Bros should have won the tag titles months before. It was a molten hot crowd, and they fucking went nuts. Fucking tremendous. Great shit. Even with the few issues that I had with the tax spot and all that, and the fact the Young Bucks are freaking ridiculous. When they want to, they can create some magic and not just do the typical stuff that they do. And they create some goddamn magic here with the Lucha Bros. Now we move on to number 16, where I'm going to end the list. Hangman Page, or Wangman Page, if you will, according to the Winter is Coming graphic, versus Kenny Omega, AEW Full Gear for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. Okay, yes, I put a Kenny Omega match on my favorites list. Let the internet explode, or just the comment section here, because you know how I feel about Kenny Omega. I also can praise Kenny Omega when he does really good shit, and this was really, really good shit. I could have done without Don Scarlet Fever Callis trying to plague the goddamn thing, because he just can't get over that he couldn't make it as a manager in a big time wrestling promotion. So now, near the end of his goddamn career, he's got to latch on to Kenny Omega, a guy that he groomed literally from his youth. And if you know, you know. That being said, though, Hangman and Omega, despite some issues with the storyline build, and yes, Hangman did take time off to see the birth of, I believe, his daughter. I believe him and his wife had a daughter. Good, good work regardless. Hopefully the kid grows up happy and healthy, and the parents are super happy and healthy, and they get to enjoy life with their kid. But even with the drunk stuff and all that and everything, it wasn't my favorite stuff. But yes, they did, off and on, a long-term thing from Full Gear 2019 to, you could even argue Full Gear last year, but not from them being tag team champions and them doing this stuff and whatever to, facing off and Omega winning the World Title Eliminator Tournament and then beating Jon Moxley, and then the feud that they had, and then finally Omega losing it to Hangman. I also don't think that Kenny Omega is going to win the World Championship again, because I don't think we're going to see Omega for a number of months, which, oh no. But this match was really fucking tremendous. It was well done. It wasn't as great as a series of matches with Okada, because those are just in the class all by themselves. You're never going to create that magic again. But Hangman winning was a big goddamn moment. The crowd went insane, as you would expect, and it was great, great stuff. So now I'm going to leave the list off there. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments, please. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Retlin. I'll see you soon.